Hey everybody, this is Pat Torpy from Mr. Big, and you're listening to Music Mania.
You ready for some screaming heavy metal? We rock!
But the evil that men do lives on.
We gonna bang your head!
You are now listening to the Music Mania podcast, brought to you by CD Warehouse in Gladstone, the #1 hard rock podcast in the Midwest, featuring hard-hitting interviews with rock's living legends. And now, here's your host, Clint Switzer.
Thank you for joining me on a very special holiday edition of the Music Mania podcast. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thanks so much for joining me here. I've got a great guest this week. We're going to be talking to Raiding the Rock Vault, MSG, Survivor. He's done it all. Mr. Robin McAuley is going to be joining us. Great vocalist, to talk about his gig in Vegas, Raiding the Rock Vault, one of the best rock tribute shows you will ever see. Just the musicianship that goes on out there. The shows at the Hard Rock Casino. Be sure that you check it out next time you are in Vegas. From Free to AC/DC, to the Rolling Stones, to The Who, to Def Leppard. They cover it all at Raiding the Rock Vault, and Robin McAuley, one of the featured vocalists out there. Of course, he's had a stint in Survivor, played with MSG, McCauley Schenker group, alongside Michael Schenker, and that they're actually touring together right now, doing some shows with the original singers, with Graham Bonnet and Gary Barden, the three singers that Michael Schenker has worked with. It's going to be great to catch up with Robin. I'm a huge fan of Raiding the Rock Vault. I've seen the show twice now. I was just out there in July. Dragged my friends kind of out there, and they didn't really know what to expect, honestly. They just had a blast. I mean, just all the hits, all the songs that really made rock and roll what it is today. And it's a great show to go to if you're out there, so be sure that you do that. Again, I want to thank you for hitting that subscribe button on iTunes, on YouTube, whatever means you choose to take in the show. Love the feedback, so give us a tweet at musicmania_show. We always love to hear from you guys, ideas for guests, what you did, what you didn't like about the interviews. We always love to hear that, so be sure that you hit us up. And we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, which is CD Warehouse in Gladstone, Missouri. Guys, for over 20 years, it is a staple of the Northland here in the Kansas City area. CD Warehouse is where I bought 90% of the music that I still own today. Guys, you can buy, sell, trade. They've got vinyl, CDs, DVDs, merchandise, much more. Be sure to hit up my man, Randy Ringer, the owner, 816-455-2130, and go visit them in the Northland at 2504 Northeast 57th Terrace in Gladstone. Hey, Robin, it's Clint Switzer again. How you doing, man?
It's good, buddy. Sorry I missed you yesterday.
Oh, not a problem at all. I just saw that you guys are going to be on. I think it airs today. They're in Vegas. You guys did you and I think Paul did a little thing for Raiding the Rock Vault. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, we had, it's got to be doing something, right?
Yes, indeed. I tell you, it's a funny story. We were out there for Raiding the Rock Vault in July, and I was talking to Sir Harry Cowell about, doing an interview, and he goes, who do you want? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe Paul. How about Robin? He goes, I got Phil Soussan for you. And so we did. We talked to Phil Soussan after I think he did a few shows with you guys there in the summertime, and I love Phil, great guy, so it worked out. We got to talk to Phil, then Doug Aldrich last month, and now you. So it's rolling.
Perfect, dude. Awesome. Been pretty busy, and actually this coming Saturday, the 25th, we actually will perform our 1,000th show, so
wow.
We're all hyped up for that one.
That is too cool. And now you guys are at the Hard Rock, which I think is a perfect venue. The Hard Rock is awesome. It's working. It's just great. It's great stuff. I mean, if people don't realize just the musicianship on stage with you guys every night, it's unbelievable. From Howard Leese on guitar. I mean, you guys have just had a lot of Andrew Freeman and Paul Shortino and yourself. It's an unbelievable experience. If you haven't seen it, is it not?
Yeah, we have a blast. I think that's the secret. We enjoy what we do, and I'd be lying if I said it's easy going out every night, 5 nights a week. We get tired. We're not machines, but when that green light hits, we go, and that's all that's to it.
Another thing I thought was interesting is the 2 times I've seen the show, it's like the songs were similar, but the arrangements were different. For instance, I think the first time I saw it, you sang most of Stairway to Heaven, and then in the second time, I think Andrew Freeman sang it. So how do you guys kind of do that? I know you play 4 or 5 shows a week. How do you figure out who's going to play what and who's going to sing what?
Yeah, well, normally, if we're all in town, then we stick to our own songs. Stairway is usually my song, so to speak. But if I'm out on the road, then Andrew jumps in, and then Mark will take over some songs, and then Paul will substitute on some songs. So we basically know everybody else's songs, so that if we're a man down, we jump into that slot and we fill it. The show must go on, as they say, you know.
Well, absolutely. And you took the show to Branson, Missouri, which is here in my neck of the woods, here in Missouri where we live. And then I think you did a private show in Canada over last week.
Yeah, Saturday we just came in from Toronto. We had Graham perform with us. We had Richie Zambora perform with us, and Brett Michaels, and it was a blast.
Oh, how cool! And unfortunately, in the middle of that, getting the news about the unfortunate passing of Malcolm Young, which it's one of those weird deals where it's like, you knew he was bad, but just to have the news come out, and he's 64 years old, you and him are close in age, I know, that's unbelievable. It's just so sad.
The most incredible rhythm guitar player and more ever, dude. It's just, he was so responsible for the beginning of that band, for all of those great songs. I mean, that great riffing in the background. He was so, he was always there, but my God, you always felt his presence. And, I know Chris Slade very well, and Chris always told me that listening to it on record is one thing, but when you're in a rehearsal room or you're up there on stage with him and you feel how solid and how he holds it together, he always spoke so highly of Malcolm, and just he goes, listen to this, you have to listen to the rhythm guitars, and I mean, you couldn't miss them, and it's just all his great work. What a loss, dude.
Oh, it is.
What an absolute loss.
And the last 2 years have been just unbelievable. And just maybe a reminder that, none of this lasts forever. And it's hard because in the rock world, when so many timeless songs that are never going to be forgotten, you feel like it's going to carry on forever. But then stuff like this happens. It's a sobering thought.
No, nothing is forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it just isn't. And we make hay while the sun shines, as they say. And I say, live every day to the full. And take care of yourself, and hope that we see the morning.
Yeah, certainly,
right?
and you've been living certainly to the full. As we look at some of the stuff you've done, you did a tour with Michael Schenker Fest, and that looked like just a blast because I caught that. I saw the DVD which came out last year, and we interviewed Michael about that. What a cool deal that was! And you've been out. I think Graham and Gary, you guys, all the singers were out there. I mean, what a blast that was!
We just headlined Loud Park in Japan, like 37,000 people or something. We did Loud Park in Tokyo, then we did one more show in Osaka, and then we came back for 2 days, and then we in Offenbach in Germany, and then we moved quickly through France, Spain, Netherlands, and into the UK for 4 shows. We haven't been in the UK for many years. And yes, with Gary, Graham, and myself. And everybody seems to love the idea of the 3 very different phases of Michael Schenker, and so he called it the Michael Schenker Fest. And then March and April of 2018, there's 20 shows already slotted in for the U.S., including one here in Vegas. We'll actually play the House of Blues here at the Mandalay Bay. And we're really looking forward to that. I believe there's another potential tour of Japan coming up with extended dates, and also possibly the U.S., the U.K. rather, so, and the rest of Europe. So it's going to be a busy 2018. Plus, there's a new Michael Schenker Fest album coming out, and Doogie White will also be featured on there, as he will in the U.S. tour. Well, so you'll actually get 4 singers, so it's going to be, there won't be enough hours in the night because we'll just keep going.
That's a good problem to have. I'll tell you, as big of a fan of MSG that I am, and just knowing the work that you did with Michael, back in the 80s, and to have this come to fruition now, when you look back to MSG and the impact it had. What do you think the legacy of your time with MSG, the McCauley Schenker group, was? Because you still hear a song like Anytime, you'll hear it on XM, on Hair Nation, and just what do you think the long lasting impact is? Because I feel like sometimes MSG is one of those bands that gets lost in the shuffle, even though the talent was unbelievable, especially on that self-titled record. You had Jeff Pilson. I mean, just the players you had. It was an unbelievable group, and I think the people that remember it all hold it in such high regard.
Well, thank you, first of all. What can I tell you? Gary's phase was very much in the time, into the 70s, early 80s. They were actually stablemates of my old band, Grand Prix, so we were all on Chrysler's records together. And, I passed on an opportunity to join Michael in as far back as 83. And I had commitments with Grand Prix, and anyway, it didn't come to fruition until 85, 86. And of course, Graham did just that one Assault Attack album with Michael, which is absolutely phenomenal, but never really toured that record. So nobody, general public, has never really heard Graham perform those songs, at least not like you will see him in the coming future. My phase was very much, I think, as everybody knows, was different. It was the 80s, the hair bands, all of that sort of stuff. I think there was a lot of different pressure put on us to have the song that would hit MTV, VH1, to make it, chartable music. If it wasn't, you didn't get the tour and all of that other sort of stuff that went with it. So there was all of those kind of pressures. Will people remember it? Who knows? Maybe, but they get to hear it either way when we do, especially when we do the U.S. tour, because I think that phase, the McCauley Schenker phase, was more. It was more known in the U.S. than it was, say, in the rest of the world, i.e., Europe, for example. So. I had a great time. I had an absolute great time. We got to take it out, and we did the unplugged section of that as well. James Kotak, Jeff Pilson was phenomenal on the very last studio record that we did. And I hope people come out and have a blast. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's rock and roll. There's some amazing songs, plus the fact, of course, with Michael's history, you can't leave the stage without at least a half a dozen UFO songs. So it's quite a cross section of material. So people really do get to hear everything, and it would be impossible to leave the stage without UFO material. And so we won't. We'll be doing as much of that as we can. It'll be a long show, I can tell you.
Yeah, I was going to say that's hard. I've seen the DVD, and it's like it goes on for. I mean, there's just so many songs and so much material, like you said, and just wonderful. Can't wait to see that hitting the U.S. That is a huge deal for me as a big fan. But and I know you devote a lot of time to Raiding the Rock Vault. It's a huge part of your life now, and I would advise anyone to go see the show in Vegas. I mean, when you say, is there a song that that every night that that you're going to do that's just going to hit, that the audience just stands up and starts going for? Because I have a few, but do you have some that for you personally that you sing that you just know when we play this, like people are going to go nuts for?
Oh Lord, I suppose when we end with second to last is like AC/DC, and that holds a special place in my heart because I did work with Chris Slade for a number of years, and I just have always been a huge AC/DC fan. Of course, I love the Free songs and the Zepp songs, and we throw a Survivor song in there because of my time with them.
Yes,
and all of that sort of stuff. But when you can put the hat on and then get out there and think of Brian Johnson, and you think of Bon Scott, and now it's sad. It brings a tear to your eye because here's something that you take for granted. You perform every night, and now there's a major element of that band that's no longer with us, and you can't help thinking about it. We never did a Motorhead song in the set, but when poor Lemmy passed, it was a devastating effect on everybody, and of course I spent time in the in-between years between Grand Prix and MSG I actually worked with Filthy Taylor together with Brian Robertson after they left Motorhead. So I have a history of that too, and all of that sort of stuff floods through your mind, and you're going, "Good Lord, who's next?" You know, and I wake up every morning going, "Thank you, Lord."
Well, and I think that's something important about Raiding the Rock Vault, something that maybe we hadn't thought about before, but a show like this that keeps alive these songs. I think that's what's important going forward, because the time goes on, people pass away, these bands go away, even Kiss at some point will have to be forced to, and it's but things like Raiding the Rock Vault, there's other shows out there that tour that do this. Maybe that's going forward what we will have, because I'll just be honest, I'm not a huge fan of maybe the future of what rock and roll has going right now, but the past will never die, and that's what you guys keep alive. That's what's kind of cool.
Yeah, I always if you look at, I don't watch much TV, to be honest, because it's so damn depressing and it's so sensationalized, especially the news and all of that sort of stuff, God knows. But it doesn't strike you as odd that when you see, especially car commercials, most of the material they pick is classic rock.
Yeah,
always has done. It's amazing how they always dive back into that cauldron of material, and it's hardly ever sort of something now. It's hardly ever anything from the present. It's usually classic rock material. I suppose there's a reason for that. So thank you to the car companies for keeping that alive too, right?
Well, that shows you another reason that this type of music will be around.
It's not difficult, because it's always been fashion, fast cars, and rock and roll. So, and fast women, I forgot that part.
It all goes together. It's just amazing how that works, isn't it? But, well, I'll tell you what, you're in the right city for that. Las Vegas, Raiding the Rock Vault, it's been voted for a couple years. They're voted best show in Vegas. Please go see this.
Actually, we just got voted for the 4th straight year, and apparently, if all reports are correct, we are the first show in the history of Las Vegas shows to ever make a 4 straight year run.
Wow!
With Best. So our producers Harry Cowell is extremely happy. It's a tag to be proud of, and we'll keep flying the flag. That's just it. We're happy to be here. We're having a great time, and the show must go on, and hopefully it will, right?
Absolutely, because I can't wait to see you guys again next time in Vegas, which is probably usually around the time the adult video convention rolls into town. That's about the time I usually make my way back there. So we'll see you guys in January.
Where you are, you make the call, and we'll take care of you. You come on down and see us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Robin. I'll tell you what, and we also can't wait to see Schenker Fest. I'm going to find you guys somewhere. I'm looking at probably Detroit or so right now. We're going to find you guys, and we're going to see this show when you guys come out for Schenker Fest. But Robin, one of my favorite vocalists of all time, thank you so much for joining us here. Have a great show this week, and I hope everything's going well, my man. We'll catch up soon.
It's my pleasure, and have a great Thanksgiving, okay?
You bet. You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, my friend. Bye-bye.
You bet. Just a huge pleasure to have Robin McAuley on the show. Thanks a lot to him for joining me around this holiday week. We hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. You know what? Forget the Black Friday, curbs. You know what? Forget the Black Friday disasters. Stay in on Friday. Have yourself some leftovers. Watch some football. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be enjoying the Missouri-Arkansas game down in Fayetteville. So going to be having some post-Thanksgiving sporting event to take in. So hope you guys have a great one. Thank you so much for joining me as we continue on into the winter months here on the Music Mania Podcast. We appreciate all your support. Be sure to hit us up our website, musicmaniapodcast.com, where all of our shows are archived. All the interviews from all the years are there, so check them all out. And be sure to hit us up on Twitter at musicmania_show. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining me.